is round. It's early still, the moon is cold. We walk now, we walk alone. I hold you, I hold the sound. 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 Hey. The light out, we don't talk. The light out, we sleep now.
All right, welcome back to The Clutch here on Spreaker Radio. Alex Klepper, Ben Fletcher. We are enjoying our little break there, a good first hour of our first live show, and we are very happy, very pleased to announce that we are being joined by a man who needs no introduction, but we'll give him one anyways, a man who is on Fox Sports Radio Saturdays and Sundays from 10 a.m. to 1 o'clock Pacific time on Saturdays with Rob Parker, and then Saturday he is on the radio with Chris Broussard, which me and Ben were fortunate enough to sit in with and listen to.
Such a cool experience.
Yeah, Sundays from 10 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern time. He's also on Extra 1360 in San Diego during the weekdays. Mark, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing tonight?
I'm fantastic. I'm glad to be here and chat it out with you guys. What's going on tonight?
Well, currently we're watching Thursday Night Football. We kind of had a play-by-play of the Cleveland Indians getting to 22 wins in a row. Ben was trying out his play-by-play chops, so we got it to announce that to people live, and now we're enjoying some Thursday Night Football. We were talking some college football just before this, but I know we want to talk some NFL. What do you think so far of Deshaun Watson? I saw on your Twitter feed that you were enjoying so far what he's been able to do.
Well, I mean, he had that one nice play. You know,
Yeah.
he had, which obviously has been the only touchdown of the game. The Bengals at this point have still not scored in a touchdown their entire season, which I would say is probably a point of concern right now for them. So, you know, look, for the most part, Deshaun Watson looks like a rookie, but that's fine because that's exactly what he is. I think he looks poised. He looks accurate. And he has that big play ability. The question for me was, why was he not starting last week? I understand if you want your guy to sit and learn for a little bit, but that's if you have somebody for him to learn from. And so I never really understood putting Tom Savage in there as the starter. I think sometimes coaches are really just trying to they're trying to treat guys like rookies. Like, you've got to earn it. We want to keep your ego down. This doesn't work really in this NFL anymore. We've seen too many guys come in and start and play well right away. So that made sense to me in this situation, and I bet if they had to do it all over again, that's what they'd do.
All right, hey Mark, this is Ben here.
What's going on, bud?
So you're talking about how you don't understand why he was a starter last week. So don't you think that this decision from the coaching staff over there in Houston needed to be made during preseason and not halfway through the first game?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, we started our show during at kickoff on Sunday, and a quarter in, Texans didn't have any points against the Jags, and I'm sitting there going, they've got the wrong guy playing quarterback. I mean, it's not a matter of Tom Savage didn't look good, so now we need to bench him. It's that wasn't the guy from the beginning. It never was, never should have been. It was pretty obvious to everybody when you trade up and you do what you did in the first round to get a guy, and then he looks as good as he did in the preseason, and you couple that with the fact that you don't have another established quarterback. I understand if you're the Chiefs, you jumped up, you got Patrick Mahomes, but you have Alex Smith, and he's pretty good, and he had an obviously phenomenal first game. To me, this was kind of an old guard style where, you know, the Texans are trying to keep Deshaun Watson's ego in check and try to, you know, make him learn something and do it the quote-unquote right way. But that's an old way. It's antiquated. Yeah, Deshaun Watson should have been the starter from the get-go, and yes, it should have been announced about a month ago.
Right. In my opinion, if you're trying to install confidence in your rookie quarterback who you think going forward is going to be your quarterback, you got to start him week 1. You have to put that ultimate faith in him and tell him it's your team. Go run with it. So Alex and I had a very heated, very intense week in fantasy football where I ended up winning on the blocked field goal in the Denver game. Got to ask, because you were bragging about your fantasy football team. How'd you do last week?
Yeah, so 1-0, and
yeah, baby.
I had the top score in my league. So I would have been 1-0 no matter who I played, but that actually scares me because I liked my team coming out of the draft. It went exceedingly well week 1, which makes me wonder what's coming up down the road, like something. And I'll tell you this story. Nobody really likes to hear about anyone else's fantasy team, but I will tell you this story real quick. I had the number 1 pick in my draft, and I did not pick David Johnson.
Oh, my goodness. Are you a psychic?
I followed a gut feeling. I had him last year, and he was amazing. So you'd think I want him again, but I was just like, I just don't have a good feeling about it. So I went with Le'Veon Bell. I followed my gut, and I mean, who knows how that's going to play out either. But for the moment, I'm pretty happy that I made that call.
Yeah, Mark. I mean, I think you may be a fantasy football savant because not taking David Johnson number 1, and then you picked Kareem Hunt, if I do so believe, and he had the best game for a rookie running back after what was a inopportune fumble on his first carry of the game. It seemed like things were going to go poorly for him. He ended up with 148 rushing yards and a touchdown, and it's really a breakout game, 50 or 98 yards receiving. The Chiefs put a whooping on the Patriots week 1, and I know a couple of years ago they did the same thing, and the Patriots were able to rebound. The Chiefs kind of they play well in the regular season, and once the playoffs come around, they're kind of underachieved due to Alex Smith not being able to have that elite caliber arm, and they kind of they've had some injuries and whatnot. But what did you see last Thursday night? Do you think the Chiefs are going to take a step up this year and be in that top tier? And the Patriots, does Tom Brady look a little bit old to you, or just me?
No, he didn't. They'll be fine. They'll be fine. Tom Brady looks like Tom Brady to me. People forget that if you go back to the playoffs last year, he was underwhelming in their playoff game against Houston. And I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, pretty underwhelming for about 2.5 quarters in the Super Bowl, too. And then he had a great fourth quarter and did his thing, and he's Tom and all of that. And so I think he's fine. I think they are going to suffer from all of these injuries that they're dealing with as far as Tom's weapons. You know, Julian Edelman, that's a thing, and Danny Amendola's got a concussion. And so that's going to be hard for them. And, you know, maybe it won't be as easy as everybody thinks, and that's probably a good thing. But I think the Patriots, in the end, will be fine and absolutely still in the mix. But, yeah, I'm a buyer of the Chiefs completely. Like, when you factor in two things, I do think a star was born last Thursday in Kareem Hunt. And if you have that dominant of a player in the backfield as a 3-down back, that changes what's going to be available as far as the pass game. And Tyreek Hill is fantastic. But the biggest thing, and I got to give credit to my partner during the week, Rich Ornberger down in San Diego, who is a former offensive lineman. The second the Chiefs drafted Pat Mahomes, his response was, he goes, wait until you see what happens with Alex Smith. Wait until you see how this affects him. He'll start taking more chances. He's going to start pushing the ball down the field more, and that's what he needed, and that's what the Chiefs needed. And so what you saw last Thursday night, I think you're going to see a lot more of that, and I think that team's going to have a really good season if they're blessed with health. You know, they got a good defense too, but Eric Berry's now out for the year, so we'll see.
You buying on Alex Smith? Is he the quarterback the rest of the way?
For this season, absolutely. I mean, as long as they look like they did the other night, I mean, it would take something, pretty drastic in the other direction for a change to be made. Mahomes is a good quarterback, and he had a good preseason too. But the Chiefs have designs on doing something this year. You know, that's a team that has designs on being a playoff team and going somewhere once they get there. And you're probably not going to do that with a rookie, especially not a rookie who, in this theory, wouldn't even take over until halfway through the season or something like that. So, yes, Alex Smith is definitely, in my mind, the quarterback for the Chiefs this year. And then based on how the season plays out, then they make their decision for next year.
Was there any single player, not including the Chiefs-Patriots game, because we went over that, was there a player this week that really just jumped out at you that you thought, man, this guy's going to be really good this year? Or a team, for that matter.
How about the other running back on my fantasy team? His name is Dalvin Cook.
Oh, my gosh.
So, yeah, that player, I tell you what, the running back position, we always hear, gosh, once they turn 30, they're getting old, whatnot. I mean, sometimes it happens even before that, so I am always big on looking at these guys that come right out of college. It's really one of the few positions in all of sports where you can just come straight out of college and boom, go perform at a high level, because it's really simple. Just see the hole, hit the hole. And so when you got guys like that with natural gifts and fresh legs, I think it leads to really good things. So he popped off the television screen on Monday night as well. That's the first guy that comes to mind off your question.
You're listening to The Clutch with Alex Klepper and Ben Fletcher, joined by Mark Willard of LA and San Diego sports radio fame. Mark, circling into the local area you're at, obviously San Luis Obispo are kind of halfway between LA and San Francisco areas. A lot of fans from both teams here. But the Chargers have their first home game coming up this Sunday. The Rams, their second year now in LA. And you being in a unique position, being kind of in both cities, having shows there and kind of interacting with people there. What is the environment? What is the hype level, if you will, for either of these teams being in LA? I know the Rams had a huge Week 1 win. The Chargers had that heartbreaking loss on Monday Night Football. But with you having your regular show in San Diego, what is the reaction now that they're seeing their Chargers going to have their their first home game now in Los Angeles?
Well, and in a soccer stadium that, by all accounts, based on what we're hearing, only needs 27,000 to fill it up, and it's not going to be filled, which says everything it needs to say. If you can't get 27,000 in a market this big in your first ever game, you're in the wrong spot. And so you guys are too young to remember New Coke, but I've been calling the NFL moving to L.A. New Coke. And for anybody who doesn't remember what New Coke was, Coke at one point, just out of the blue, their sales were sagging, and so they came out with a completely new formula. They changed the taste of their drink, and it was so heavily panned and so disastrous that literally it was a matter of maybe only a few weeks before they went, you know what, sorry, kidding, let's turn around, let's go back, and that's why you see now Coke cans say Coca-Cola Classic. That's why that was born, for anybody that doesn't know that. The Chargers need to do the same thing. They need to become the San Diego Classic Chargers. You need to turn around, go right back down the freeway, where they used to be, where their fans are, and where they belong. I have never, this is unprecedented in sports, have I ever seen something like this, where a city, I mean, the mayor of Los Angeles was on the Dan Patrick Show yesterday and said, square in everyone's face for everyone to hear, yeah, we would have been fine if it was just the Rams. Think of another city in America that would have their mayor react that way if a professional sports team decided to move to their city. It's crazy. They're not wanted here. San Diego is still hurting badly over this whole thing. And I understand all the business and financial ramifications, but I also understand about pleasing your customer base. That's a part of business too. So I think that we knew the second this decision was made that it was going to be tough. I think now, having seen it, it's going to be even tougher than I thought. And I do think it's going to take some years, but there's the potential that this turns into a similar situation to what happened with Frank McCourt when he owned the Dodgers. That the fans turn their backs on this team to such a level that the Spanos family is going to be forced to sell, and maybe that new owner will bring the team back down to San Diego. As far as the Rams are concerned, that's better. It fits a little bit better, but there's no question there's a concern based on their first game last week as well. They played well, but the stadium was half empty. So, that'll change a little bit if they continue